Donald Trump has just assumed the presidency of the United States. What does that mean exactly for Latin America? Is the world really coming to an end, as some people are claiming? Or is there a bigger picture here that nobody's talking about? Because let's be real, the media always pushes one extreme or the other. What I want to do here is I want to break it down as simple and as clear as possible. What does Donald Trump mean? Under Trump, we saw a strong economic growth, low unemployment, and a focus on bringing manufacturing back to America. Some argue that this spells bad news for Latin America because fewer countries will set up shop down there. Other people would argue that a booming U.S. economy could mean more remittances and opportunities for Latin America workers. Is this a loss or a win? It depends on who you ask. Trump is all about business. He wants deals that benefit the United States first, but that doesn't necessarily mean that America gets left behind. Anything, a strong trade agreement could push countries to become more competitive. Whether or not leaders in the region take advantage of that, well, that's just another story. Next up, we have a highly controversial topic that affects everybody in my family and all Latinos equally. Immigration, la migra, the truth behind Trump's controversial immigration policies. We all know the narrative. Trump is tough on illegal immigration, border security, deportations, stricter policies. Some people say it's cruel, inhumane, and some people say it's necessary. Yet, every U.S. president has dealt with immigration issues. The only difference is that Trump actually enforces the rules. And this means two things for Latin America. First, fewer people will attempt to cross the border illegally, resulting in less money falling into the hands of human traffickers and cartels. And I don't know about you, but I think that's a good thing. Now, second, Latin American politicians will finally be forced to move their asses, because if fewer people leaving, countries in Latin America might actually have to focus on fixing their own problems instead of relying on remittances. Not everybody likes to hear that, but it's the fucking truth. Most Latin American governments like to send their problems abroad instead of solving them internally. And before anybody calls me a racist or whatever, I'm not even from here. I'm from there. I know what I'm talking about. I'm just a Latino living in Canada and I work here. So I'm not making things up. Matter of fact, last year, Bolivia's healthcare system collapsed because their citizens were going to Argentina to receive free healthcare in a province called Salta. So when the Argentina government decided to this, we're gonna charge these people for using medical consultation, Bolivia went into a healthcare crisis and demanded that Argentina starts treating their citizens for free. So who's to blame here? Is it Argentina's fault because they're greedy or selfish? No, it's because the Bolivian government has been stealing and abusing their citizens instead of improving their own hospitals. Now that the magic solution has disappeared, the Bolivian government has no choice but to deal with the consequences and invest in improving its own healthcare system. And the same example I just gave you can be applied to most first world countries. Look at what's happening in Europe or North America. With the economy spiraling out of control, a huge part of that is due to illegal immigration. And I'll prove it to you. If you got 100 houses, 100 jobs, and 120 inhabitants, there's gonna be 20 people left on the street. It's simple math. But what do you think would happen if, in addition to 120 inhabitants, we got 1,000 people just showed up because they crossed the border illegally? Everything will start breaking down. Hospitals, public transportation. There's gonna be more people on the street than ever before. And they're gonna start turning to crime to survive. And for this reason, every country has their own immigration laws. And that's to regulate the people that enter the country every year. If their country is going through a tough economic period, they might implement stricter laws. On the other hand, if the country needs more labor because of the population is getting older or leaving, they might implement more lenient laws to attract new citizens. So this is not about hating immigrants. It's actually about ensuring the country's growth by focusing on areas that need the most help. There's countries like Switzerland, for example, that would actually pay you to move there to repopulate the certain areas so that you can actually make them more productive. Sometimes I feel like they're smarter than we are. And look, I'm always gonna be grateful to Canada for allowing me to live here, but I know I earned that right because I did things the right way. Contrary to what my friends think, I didn't jump the fence when nobody was looking. I followed all the requirements Canada demanded for me at that time to move here, and it took 2 years. And the same example applies to the United States. The current situation is insane and you can't deny it. People don't want to say it out loud because it's politically incorrect, but it's the reality. Mass immigration brings problems, especially when some of these immigrants come to the country not to work, but to rely on the state and live off your taxes. I have a friend living in Spain, and trust me, you won't believe half the shit that's happening there. There's people from other countries that go to Spain and they have more rights than the local workers that are born there. So with Trump in power, I think people would actually stop crossing the US border illegally and start doing things the right way. And that would save everybody a ton of problems. Trump's policies tend to encourage countries to become economically self-sufficient, which could push Latin American nations to develop their own industries instead of relying on US assistance. Even though what happened in Bolivia was tough, the Bolivian government has been forced to work on a solution. And the same could happen in other countries if we allow them to grow on their own. It's like you can't keep your kids until they're 30 or 40. You have to let them figure their shit out and live in the world. And you know, they're gonna make mistakes and make bad decisions, but eventually they get a hang of it and succeed. It's like you can't learn to ride a bike without falling a few times. U.S. Latin American relations. Now, let's discuss the relationship between the United States and Latin America. Under Trump, the U.S. put major pressure on countries like Venezuela and Cuba, cutting ties with dictators and pushing for democracy. Some people loved it, some people hated it. There's one thing for sure, Trump doesn't fuck with socialists. That's why so many people voted for him. Are we gonna see more of that? Probably. Countries leaning towards socialism might find themselves in the crosshairs. However, those nations that work with Trump could start getting better deals, more investments, and stronger alliances. It's all about who's willing to negotiate. Look at what just happened with Colombia and now Mexico. This brings us back to Argentina with Javier Milei in power. Argentina could be one of the biggest winners under Trump's presidency. Milei and Trump share similar economic vision, free markets, reducing government intervention, and promoting business-friendly policies. A stronger alliance between the US and Argentina could mean more trade opportunities, better economic cooperation, and a major shift in Latin American economic landscape. If Javier Milei plays his cards right, more Latin American countries could follow his example and form similar alliances with the United States that benefit both sides. I just think it's funny how everybody who was criticizing Milei in 2024 had to literally swallow their words after he managed to reduce their inflation because he was through the roof. With Trump in the US and Javier Milei in Argentina, I think it's only a matter of time before the rest of Latin America start following the lead of these leaders to achieve the same results. Why do you think the movements of Bolsonaro in Brazil, Nayib Bukele in El Salvador, why do you think they gain so much momentum? Because they focus on getting things done. Guess what? That gets you votes. You can either cooperate with the most powerful country in the world or stay in your own island and close your borders. And while you're at it, just ask the Cubans how that's working out for them. Now, media versus reality. If you only listen to mainstream media, you think that Trump winning means a disaster for Latin America. But let's just be honest. How many times does the media exaggerate things before? They say Trump will destroy the economy. It boomed. They say that he was a warmonger. I don't remember any wars when Trump was in office. So when they say that Latin America is doomed, maybe, just maybe, they're missing the full picture. People don't really care about political parties. They just want to live a better life. And in my opinion, the world was a better place when Trump was in office. Look at what happened as soon as Biden took office. Russia went to war with Ukraine. The Middle East became a disaster, and the global economy is on the brink of collapse. Trump's hard stance on China could lead the United States to seek more trade alliances in Latin America, benefiting countries like Mexico, Brazil, due to the increase in demand for raw materials and manufactured products. This could actually greatly benefit the United States, allowing them to import high-quality products at a lower price that they were paying before. Why would they waste time dealing with China when they have dozens of raw materials producers in their own continent? It makes no sense. It's just down there. Latin America and the US have been trade allies for ages, and it's time that we get back to that. At the end of the day, Trump winning means change. Some will benefit, some won't. That's just how things work. That said, I'm hopeful that Trump's second presidency will be even more beneficial for Latin America. What do you think would happen this second term with Trump in office? Is that going to be a win or a loss in Latin America? I'll be reading your thoughts in the comments. My name is Chris. This is Bad Hombres, and I'll see you next time. Peace.